always finding commonality with people is huge. I would go meet people in person and go to networking events to introduce myself, but more importantly, getting to know the people in front of me. People feel like they know you more when you ask them questions about themselves than when you share about yourself. So asking a lot of questions of those that you meet and getting to know them will create a quicker bond and a more genuine connection.
Welcome to MLM Nation, a podcast of leaders, by leaders, for leaders, hosted by Simon Chan. He's built a team of over 200,000 and is now a full-time MLM coach and trainer. So if you're ready to level up your business, join us now. Let's do this.
MLM Nation, this is Simon Chan. I'm fired up to bring our special guest today. It's a friend that recently got to know, and she's an amazing networker, really good at making people feel good. And I'm so excited to finally have her on the show here. We have Alisha Lindsey. Hey, Alisha, are you ready to make it happen?
Heck yeah, bring it, Simon.
Before network marketing, Alisha Lindsey was a military wife and had a successful careers in the senior retirement industry and real estate loans. She stumbled upon this profession 10 years ago through a desire to travel more with her family and bring her husband home from his busy job. She was able to retire her husband, and today there are multiple six-figure earners with a team of over 10,000 distributors and customers. Alisha lives in Montgomery, Texas, which is in the Houston area, been married for 22 years, have 2 kids, and just recently launched her book called Landing Ladies. So before I throw it to you, just a shout out to our friend, Alice Hinckley, who introduced me to Alisha. Alice, another amazing businesswoman and networker. Thank you, Alice. But anyway, Lindsey, how did you go from doing senior retirement, real estate, to stumbling upon network marketing? What happened?
Well, honestly, Simon, I was on my knees praying for an answer. If I'm going to be totally transparent about this, I feel like the story would not be complete without actually just being very real about that. I had a prayer closet in my home, and I talked to the Lord anywhere, but this, I was interceding. I was really in deep prayer. And I was crying out to him for a while. Lord, what's going to bring my husband home? He was traveling all over the place. He was finishing his doctorate's degree full time. And with the senior housing industry, it's not exactly easy to start a new career from there because it's such a niche market. And I love using the word niche, but it's niche. But the truth of the matter was we just didn't know what that was going to look like. And one day at church, actually, it was a women's event where we were all getting together to go see Christmas lights. And this gal ended up going in my car. I'd never met her before, but there were some people who were willing to drive and some people willing to have people in their car so we could all kind of caravan and go look at Christmas lights. And then one day, or afterwards, we would go to have a dessert and coffee after we were done doing that. So one of the gals that was put in my car was the network marketer, and I didn't know that, and I didn't know her. She was very new, and we ended up having a kinship and a friendship. And then she shared her opportunity with me, and it was about travel at the time. So my first real experience, although I kind of take that back, I did start Mary Kay like years ago, many years ago, and that is a fabulous company, but I was not coachable. So that was a whole other ball of wax. I did start in that industry initially when I was like 19, sold everything back, was blackballed by the company to my absolute embarrassment. But you know what? Still a wonderful company. I just didn't know what I was doing at the time, and I didn't know what I had my hands on. Fast forward, like I said, I ended up looking at the travel industry, was very pumped about that. If the Lord had brought me what I have now, I probably would have said no, because I did not understand how important health and wellness was like I do now. But travel, I was all about it. I mean, who doesn't love to go to beaches of the world, right? So the idea of doing that was amazing. I went and I just ran my mouth to everyone I could. I made a network out of nothing. I also only made $300 after almost a year because I wasn't coachable the way that my mentors were trying to coach me. I wanted to do things my own way. I did not want to go to the events. And I thought I knew everything like a 13-year-old girl does, girl or teenager. We all think we know what we know when we really don't know. And so once I ran into who now are some of my best friends, my husband and myself, it's Catherine and Jeff Belleville. So we ended up meeting Catherine. I ended up meeting Catherine actually on the 4th of July. And I just fell in love with her the moment I met her. And I just looked at her and I said to her, I just need to incorporate you more in my life. And it was in the first 5 minutes. I've never felt a connection to a person in the spirit of friendship so quickly in my life. But I really believe it was the Lord working. And so she says, you know what? We only live 1.5 miles from each other, away from each other. Once we discovered that, she's like, I'm coming over to your house. You're going to show me what you're doing. I'm going to show you what I'm doing, but I get to go first. I said, okay. So, she shows up with her husband, my husband sitting there on the couch with his arms crossed. And her husband didn't want to do I show you my thing, show me your thing. But literally 6 minutes after their little pitch and presentation, we said yes. And we didn't even get a chance to tell them what we were doing. And we ran our faces off together. And we ended up, I think, just a few days before we were about to rank up to the 4th level of the company. And we had hit the first 3 ranks in the first 30 days. They come to our door and they said, we got a call from the Dowds and Diebels and they moved companies. And we were like, what? And they said, yeah. And we followed them. We were like, what? And they're like, we want to show you what we're doing to see if maybe you want to follow us too. There was a lot of confirmation around that. My husband actually got a word from God, like quite literally in the middle of his meeting while he was at his annual senior retirement corporate executive meeting there in Salt Lake City, Utah, actually, of all places. And he was told by the Lord in the middle of his meeting, which had never happened before, I have something for you in the Salt Lake City area. We were like, what? So he literally gets up from the meeting, calls me out in the hallway and says, I just got an audible word from God. Like, you have to understand, my husband's not like me. He's very introverted naturally. He's not an exaggerator. He's not my fish is this big kind of guy. He's just very matter of fact and logical. So him saying this to me was like, wow, okay, God's got something big for us. He thought it was going to be a promotion within the company because there were some spots that had opened up, and his CEO had told him, I want you to take my spot one day when I move on. So we thought this is going to be a promotion there. And a lot of them that were open were in the Salt Lake City area. But that time came and passed and nobody offered him a job. They said, we're going to keep you where you are right now, even though he had taken the company from number 19 to number 1 in the whole company. So this was a really big deal. And he already had like a regional training spot for sales and marketing. So literally we were like, what the heck, right? So in the interim, my husband's sitting at the airport about to come home. We get this 3-way call from Catherine and Jeff Belleville saying, hey, when are you getting home, Josh? And he's like, I'm going to be home, a little bit later. Usually the taxi drops me off around this time when I come at home at this time. So they met us and they met him in the driveway as the taxi pulls in. He gets out, he goes in. I didn't even know they were in the driveway. They follow him behind him. They tell us the big vision of what they're doing. And then they say to us, oh, and by the way, the corporate office is in the Salt Lake City area. We're like, what? So that was the first confirmation. And I had already moved companies once at this point, and I was in a professional networking group with other business owners who have brick and mortar businesses. I knew that if I told them I switched companies again, they'd stake me at the cross because they were very committed to their business and they did not want people waffling. And I had just earned their trust back. They just started referring me again. And I had to take a leap of faith. And so I said yes. I said yes to what they offered. It took me a while to work up the courage to tell the group that I had made another change. Even though I just won their trust back for making a reverse move. but it was similar enough to what I was doing to where I didn't have to change titles. So I think it made it easier. God just opened that up for me. And we said yes. And God told and there was one more confirmation, because I am sitting there freaking out going, Lord, you just made this move for me like less than 3 months ago and freaked out. And he's like, but if you didn't make this move, you wouldn't trust me where I'm leading you. And I'm like, okay, give me one more sign, just one more, Lord. And the Lord gave me this quote. And it was by Richard Branson of all people. It wasn't a Bible quote, which was really interesting. It was, if you see a great opportunity and you don't understand all the details, say yes and figure out the details later. And so right as I'm thinking this, my husband literally says out loud, I saw a quote earlier this week that says, if you see a great opportunity, say yes and figure out the details later. And that was the confirmation I need. I said, all right, we're all in. And we couldn't afford to do it, but we did it anyway. And when I mean we couldn't afford it, like we had to, and I'm going to tell you this part because it's not a part I really talk about much, but I feel like in the light of so many people stuck, this was what we did. And I'm not telling anyone else to do this, but this is what we did. And only because we had God's confirmation on it. We had gone 2 weeks before to a convention for the prior company that we were moving from now. And we were broke as broke could be. We had all of our credit cards maxed out, everything. Okay. So, and we were trying to figure out how to pay on our second rental property that we owned. We did not have the money to pay for it that month. We spent it to go on this convention. And then now comes this opportunity to be at the top in the forefront. And God just gave us the confirmation. And the only money we have is for the money that is meant for the mortgage on the house that we are living in. And so we did something that should terrify anyone. And we put all the money we had and bought 2 positions in the company we're in now. And we have no money to pay either mortgage on either house. And we worked and ran, and God multiplied it. And we literally ended up with not only enough to pay both mortgages, but more than enough because we hit bonuses and everything. I need you to know, when we move teams, when we move companies, we had 4 people who followed us. That was it. Just 4. And we hit the first rank of the first position that was considered significant at the time. We were able to take our 4 and multiply it to 12 in the first 24 hours. We then were able to do it again on our second position 2 weeks later and get to like the second or third position in the company by day 30. But it started out with 4 people that said yes, that were our personal people. And that's just how God works. So when you ask, how did that happen? It was the Lord. And it was stepping out in true faith, terrified in boldness and doing it anyway. And I believe when you step out in boldness, when He has led you to it, He will respond in kind with His blessing.
Why do you think things finally started to work out for you, as opposed to the first 2 you didn't? You mentioned you weren't coachable.
I wasn't coachable. No, I think I was fully submitted to what God wanted to do. So that was the big thing, commitment. I was fully committed. I mean, literally, I put my money where my mouth was. It was sink or swim, do or die. I was either going to fail or I was going to succeed. But there was a fire because there was no other choice. It was either that or, sink. So there was that aspect of it, but commitment. We were all in. The first person you have to recruit in your business is you. If you are not fully committed and you're waffling and you're trying to lead, no one's going to follow you. You have to be all in and do it, like you said, consistently. Not just when the mood strikes. That's the thing, because things will come in your way and things will they will hit you. Life will hit you like a meteor out of nowhere. But if you stay the course and stay committed, you'll see the end result, and it will be beautiful, and it will be beauty from ashes, but you just have to keep going and be fully committed to the process. Sometimes the process is undoing of old mindsets and beliefs. And then once you grow into the new, because the example is being set before you by those that you surround yourself with, your life will change. But the biggest thing is I became coachable, fully coachable. If my team said jump, I said how high. I didn't even think about it. Why? Because I saw their success. I wanted what they wanted, and they were doing it ethically too. That's another thing. Obviously, I'm not telling people sell your soul or do something or whatever that's against your convictions and against your morals and values. But I'm saying like the things they were asking me to do were just things I was too scared to do before. And once I realized and I let go of pride, that was another big one. Pride was in my way. I thought I knew everything and I didn't. And really pride is just was more of a protective thing that was a facade that was just really kind of covering up for my fear of stepping out there and really committing because I was afraid of failure.
You said that the process, I like what you said, you have to undo old mindsets. Give
Yes.
an example of that. Because I think a lot of people know that. But they
Yeah.
don't know what that really means.
I think that part of that was looking to my past failures. Like for instance, like I was a part of that other company, the other makeup company when I was really young, not realizing that, it was network marketing at the time. I wasn't until years later that I realized it, but I wasn't coachable then either. And I looked at the lack of results that I had had before. And I realized my old mindset was everything is dependent on me and I know everything, and letting go of that. It's okay to learn and fail forward and work through that. Cause really failure isn't like not making something. I don't know. How do I put that in words? Failure isn't trying something and not having it work. Failure is giving up before the result comes on the other side, comes to fruition is really what I have found. So the only true failure is when you completely give up, not redirect, not try different methods. And honestly, the best method to try is a tried and proven one of those who've gone before you. Don't reinvent the wheel before you master what is already working. I'm not saying don't add your layer of creativity to it. I'm just saying master what is already working. We get so in our head and, well, if it's not my idea, it's not good. And because of that mindset, it's prideful. And really what it is we just want control. And when you let go of the control and let it be okay that you make mistakes in this world where we believe that we have to have this facade of perfection, which is a lie, excellence is the only thing we can ever achieve. And excellence is improving upon what's already there and letting go of what is not working. And we can grow forward from that. So that hopefully that answers that question.
No, it definitely does. So you said doing something scary. I mean, I always talk about all your dreams and goals are outside your comfort zone, right?
Oh, yeah.
So what's an example of something where you did something scary outside your comfort zone?
Well, like putting my money where my mouth was, mortgage wise was terrifying. Cause I mean, we were literally putting our entire livelihood on the line. That was terrifying. Another very terrifying thing is right after I signed up with Catherine Belleville, I had to, so this was in the first business that I had said yes to with them. Within 24 hours of signing up, we ended up, my husband, by the way, was not home at that point. So he was traveling and he was coming home the next day. So, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So we had him live in that when we met him. And like I said, they came over to our house. I had him on the TV and we did a live and he had his arms crossed the whole time until after we talked about it. And anyway, so I always forget that part. I'm like, this part gets confusing if I don't explain that, but I usually don't need to explain it. But anyway, he was gone. He was out of state traveling because he was traveling 3 weeks out of the month. Well, the reason why this is so important is because I had never left my children by themselves. There was not a day in their life that they had not seen me. Okay. So, and our family, our closest family members were like 8 hours away in different states, might I add. Okay, so my dad was the closest one, and he lives all the way up, and I joke around and say the crack of Washington because it's literally the crack of Washington. If you look at, he lives there in an island. Okay, so, and I'm living in Eugene, Oregon at this time. And my mom lives in California. So like, I'm just trying to let you know, I had no family to lean on here. And so then she says, you're going to go to this convention. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I go, my husband's out of state. I don't have any family to watch my kids. I don't know who I would trust to watch my kids. So I had to piecemeal together 3 babysitters in 8-hour shifts because my husband was out of state and I was going by car out of state with a person I had just met. And I was leaving my kids with 3 sitters to piecemeal together to watch round the clock until my husband flew in back home. And I said, yes, I did that. I slept on a floor because I didn't have money. I ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And I went to that event and it changed my life. I said yes, and it terrified me. But you know what? My kids are all alive. I am a very highly ranked and blessed enough because I worked my butt off and made some sacrifices up front. I sacrificed a lot of things that I like to do, like my comfort, for things that I love, like my family and my dreams. And because I said yes, it changed my life. But you don't get there without doing scary stuff. You just don't. You just got to be committed. You got to do it consistently over and over again.
And that amalgamation is the definition of commitment. You know, leaving your kids to 3 babysitters and driving in the car, you don't really even know the person that well to go to an event that you can't afford to go. And, you know, so a lot of times people think success is so easy. It's never just one story, right? It's a combination of many, 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 many stories of, and I'm sure you can't even remember many times where you made the sacrifices. And you probably, if I asked you, you probably can't name them, but you did. And I think sometimes people feel, I made the sacrifice, I'm expecting instant results. Just those many sacrifices that people make that there would lead to no results. And then when you finally get lucky, when you finally get successful, then people say, oh, you were so lucky. But they don't remember all the times you were working and nothing happened.
Yeah, I think a lot of people sometimes make sacrifices, but then they may not consistently put in the effort that comes behind what they learned. So part of that is, yes, make the sacrifice. Absolutely. But make your sacrifice worth it. Showing up isn't enough. It's applying what you learned through that sacrifice and then teaching it to others, honestly, that really starts being the secret sauce to making it all work together.
Yeah.
If I didn't take 1, 2, or 3 of the things that I learned and apply them to my circumstances, when I went to make that sacrifice, it would not have done anything for me. But when I started making those sacrifices and my belief was high, take that belief when it's high and apply it and use that fire to apply immediately at least 1 or 2 things that you learned. Because if you can do that, knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. If you can have a library full of books, full of knowledge, but if you don't apply it and read it and use it, it doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't. I can know how to eat healthy and lose weight or whatever, but if I don't apply those knowledges and principles to my life, it's not going to do anything.
That's so true because you see so many people. I love what you said. When the belief is high, that's when you get the action ASAP, because that belief doesn't last forever, right? No. It could be maybe just a couple of minutes, but you can send out a couple of messages. You know, I wrote in my book that you've been reading, The Angel and the Devil, right? That's my favorite. You asked me, I think the favorite chapter is the second to last chapter. When the angel's like, you can do it, you're awesome. And the devil's like, you can't, you're not making any money. You can barely even pay your mortgage. How would people join you? If people really knew what a mess you are, you're no leader, and that negative voice, right? But for maybe a split second, you're like, oh, I can do it. And that's when you got to take action. So it's really good advice. And I think when you go to the event, you make the sacrifices. Most people, it's kind of like you got this great belief and you don't use it, it's just used up. And now you're.
It's true. You need to take that fire and direct it into something that's progress for you. Yes, all out massive action is important, but also consistent action is important. One of the things that I've learned over my life, and actually it's really fascinating. I feel very blessed because I'm one of the top producers in the company. And this isn't to honk my own horn, but I had a very good front row seat to watching all the action, all the other trainers, all the other promotions. We got to promote, we got to get on stage and all that stuff too. But I got a front row seat there in the front to witness every single leader who was also training and then pouring out there. And the one thing that they all said in every one of their speeches, either through training or through their promotion ceremony, was consistency. And over and over and over again, I was like, yep, there it is. Yep, there it is. Don't give up. If the thing that you're doing isn't working, adjust it, but don't give up. Right. And so yes, all out massive action is the catalyst to start, but you need to go at a pace that you don't have to be a sprinter. You could be a trotter and still pass up people. The tortoise and the hare is a great example, right? Don't rest on your laurels. Just because you've made success, you don't need to rest on that either. You need to keep going. Why? Because there's more people to tell. There's more people who need what you have, who are on their knees in their prayer closet like me, who are begging for a breakthrough because their grocery bills are now almost $12,000 more a year for a family of 4 than it was 18 months ago. Because their family member's sick and they wish that they could spend time with them to take care of them, but they have this job. But now, what if they had something else that they could do that would help them be home with that person? Maybe they lost a family loved one and there's grieving happening in the family and they can't stay with that family member because they have 3 days of grievance leave and then they have to go back to work. But that's not nearly enough time to go through that circumstance with that family member. If you understood what we have our hands on as an industry, it doesn't matter what company you're with, you would walk through brick walls to get it. You would always be consistent because you would know that what you're fighting for is so much bigger than you. And that's in the book that I just released, or is about that I did release a couple weeks ago. It is amazing because it's about 22 women who are telling their stories and their methods of how they got out of them and not need to kick their business into high gear and to get to the core of why they're doing what they're doing and why they're doing it, right? We know all about the why, but it's peeling back the layers of what are you willing to fight? What sacrifice are you willing to make to end up getting the life you want and deserve? And the only way that you're going to get it is if you go out there and you take the bull by the horns. But this gives you step-by-step advice on how to make this happen and why you're doing it. So that when the feeling long leaves you, because it will, and life comes back at you, whether it's your boss or your kids or your husband or whatever, or your spouse in general, okay? Because those things do happen to you. You will keep fighting because the thing that you want most is in front of your face and you are reminded of it daily. Even on the days you don't feel like it, you will apply something that you learned daily to stay consistent, to keep pushing forward. Because even on your worst day, you'll know that what you're fighting for is so much more worth it than to stay where you are.
That's so good. So follow up to that, like you're busy, you're a mom. How do you stay consistent? Like, do you have a specific routine that you do every day?
I do have a specific routine, but I'll be honest, I don't have it like as in timing. Well, okay, take that back. So what I do is I have about 10 posts already kind of loaded up in my Facebook. Okay, so every Monday, usually what I'll do is I will build on Monday. So Monday is kind of my biggest work day, if you will. I will build out my posts on Monday and I will load them in to release at specific times of the day, Monday through Friday. Okay. So that's part of it. I build them. I do not get up at 7 o'clock in the morning because I'm a night owl and sometimes I sleep in, but my post will go out at 7 Central Standard Time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I have an evening post that goes out at 9 o'clock. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I have themes. So like a motivation Monday, transformation Tuesday, wealth and wellness Wednesday, thoughtful and thankful Thursday, funny and foodie Friday. Okay. So, and you can play around with them. You can do whatever you want. The point is people are getting out your content, and some of it is just a little bit inspirational. Some of it is a little bit about business. Some of it is tips, and tricks financially. Some of it's like recipes. Some of it's funny. Some of it's levity. I get my kids to tell jokes on Friday. Like they love it. They love telling jokes. So I will literally record them at some point during the week, and they'll be like, oh, like when the mood strikes at some point during the week prior, they will give me a joke, and I will usually just record them saying it. Sometimes they'll come up with one together where the two of them are doing it. Sometimes it's just one of them or the other. Sometimes it's my husband and I goofing off. But like, it's just, we like giving people a peek into our world because we're goofy. We're a goofy family. So there's that, right? So we're consistent about that. I also was going live Monday through Friday as well, but I have recently adjusted my approach. So I'm still consistent with this. I'm just doing it a little differently, where I am now doing live stories. This was new. Okay, so I had posted stuff in my stories, but did you know, Simon, that you can go live in your stories in 20-second increments? So I started doing this, and apparently when you do this, it cracks the algorithm in Facebook, and it shows it to more people. At first, I'm like, okay, I got to give this a go. I learned it this weekend. Again, going back to learning something and applying it immediately. I applied it immediately. Again, no matter how successful you are, if you become uncoachable, if you become too big up here for the small things, you will be too small up here for the big things that God has for you. So you always have to remain humble and coachable. When you have that, God will do big things. Okay. So in my circumstances, I started going live. So in the morning now, when I'm drinking a specific product, I now am going live, and I branded myself to this product. So it was a question of branding myself to the product. Now, in your case, it could be a product, service, whatever. Brand yourself to it. Be known as that person, right? Like, Simon here is known as the MLM Nation guy, right? Like everybody knows who he is. And then the consistency pill guy now, because he also has that, but he has a brand. Okay. I have a brand too. I picked something in my company from our portfolio, and now I am going live on my page, and I'm talking about a 2-part system every day. And I'm showing people I'm taking it. I even add a little tune to it. So they're going to think about that tune and associate me with that tune and that product. Okay. So I do that, and I do like a 2 or 3 parts thing, and I might drop in what it does for people and why they should like it every day. I don't care if it drives people nuts. Okay. Then I post the social proof of what the product is doing, either for me or other people. That could be a video, that could be a story, whatever. Okay. Then I go live again later in the day. I do a live story. So again, 20-second intervals, and I have to do stuff to it and post it. And then I have to start off from where I left off. That could be a 20-second one. That could be 10, 20-second, like little mini series, basically, as if I didn't stop talking. And basically I'm going back and doing it all over again, going live. But people who have not interacted with my stuff for like 5 years are now interacting with my things and getting viewership where I was not before. Okay, that's powerful. My viewership is increasing a lot now. I'm getting people asking me questions who have not seen my stuff forever. I am maxed out with my friends. Anytime I add a new one, I have to vote someone off the island to make room for them. So like for the amount of people I have, I'm getting this tiny little widget of people, because I will be honest, I'm a bit of a big mouth about the things that I am passionate about. Facebook does not agree. So they don't like to show my content, and I have to fight for it, but I will not stop fighting and speaking what I know the Lord's laid on my heart. So that being said, being able to find this little gem has been huge for me, and I've been able to find breakthrough. I'm very consistent about that. And then I'll also go live and just share about something, anything. What, like in my case, it might be my garden or my chickens or my turkeys or my kids or something that's funny or inspirational that day. And you could just take a few seconds. It doesn't matter what it is. It just needs to be anything unbusiness related. Could be something you found inspiring. Could be whenever the spirit moves you, go live. It doesn't have to be at any particular time of day. Okay. So don't get caught up in the weeds about that. It's just taking action. That's the biggest thing. And being consistent about it daily. Okay. Sorry, that was a really long answer.
That's awesome. Hey, I'm amazing. You just got the secret and the routines and the stuff that Alisha is doing right now. It's awesome. And you had mentioned before, 2 weeks ago, you came out with the book, Leading Ladies. Can you just briefly talk about what that is about and what inspired you to write?
Yes. Okay. So this project, somebody actually told these people who put together, they put together the social impact book. They did another one called like Impact Community, I think. And then this is the third installment. I believe personally, this series and training, it's a master training system in each book. Okay. So I believe it's going to be even bigger than GoPro because there's so many people putting their collective IQ together. The very first book that was ever written in the series, Ray Higdon was chapter 1. Okay. So like in the social impact, and then the community one, a bunch of dynamic people. And then I was the first one they came to on this project and said yes to. So I was super honored. And they hadn't even officially like decided to do the book. And they were like, what do you think of this? And I go, I really would love to be a part of it. Thank you. I'm honored to be a part of it. And really what it is taking our basically 22 successful women in the network marketing space from all around the world, and taking our collective IQ as top producers and putting to paper some of the systems that we use to basically kick your business into high gear. And I work, just so you know, this was really interesting for me because I love working with women, but I also love working with men. And in our business, we have a lot of both men and women. This was the first book I'd ever been asked to be a part of that was female centric. It was focused on helping empower women. And I was like, I even tried to tell a couple stories involving my husband and myself. And they're like, well, can we tell a different one that focuses just on the ladies? So I had to go back and readjust. But it became this beautiful, powerful thing that I believe is going to equip so many women because it's literally telling them step by step, like what they can do to help overcome their mindset, be willing to put to paper what they're willing to work for and fight for, and to not feel guilty about it for doing it. Because ultimately, I think a lot of ladies feel mom guilt. I mean, I'm Alisha. I'm a recovering mom guilt addict. I think a lot of us have mom guilt as women. Okay. And so because of that, and I'm sure there's dad guilt too. Like we all have our own guilt, but in this case, I'm speaking to the ladies about our mom guilt. Okay. And this can be applied to men and women, but it is called Leading Ladies. And it's just all of us taking our collective IQ, putting it to paper, showing how it's working. My chapter is called Gold Digger, as in gold. And I don't mean go marry a rich husband, just so y'all know. So it's really about extracting the gold from the people that you are working with. In this case, I use the example of women that I have worked with and helping them overcome. And this is, like I said, very interesting because my husband and I, we work this business together. And he's a manly man type, but he's an alpha male. I'm an alpha female, and we bring out each other's best qualities. He is my best friend. He is my better half, and he just is my biggest cheerleader and my best friend. And I just love him. We do our best work together. So this was really interesting having to do it on my own a little bit, but also it was empowering. And he's like, you got this. You have so much to offer other women. I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, how do you not see that? You inspire other women. And of course, sometimes we don't see ourselves this way. And again, I think so many women struggle with mom guilt because they're afraid if they go after their dreams that somehow it's neglecting their kids. But can I just tell you, ladies, tell that liar in your brain to shut up. Okay, tell that Karen or Felicia or whatever to shut up. Because when you take hold of your dreams, you are filling up your cup, and you cannot pour out of an empty cup. You have to have your cup filled. Doing this, has been the most amazing thing that has ever happened to me in my entire life, because I have been able, when I started really taking in what we do here in this industry, I have become a better mother, a better wife, a better sister in Christ, a better friend, daughter, cousin, sister, everybody. I have become a better version of myself because I have allowed my cup to be filled. I have more patience for my kids. I'm able to walk in better wisdom and guide them better through things because I am able to better address my own insecurities and therefore recognize it in them and be able to speak life on how to overcome it. Why? Because I had to overcome the same thing. So stop shaming yourself wanting bigger things, because those bigger things will lead to more incredible opportunity for you as a mom and help you be a better mom and wife for your whole family. So stop it. Just stop. Stop with the guilt. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of helping women peel back the layers of that guilt and helping them get to a place where they're able to grow beyond the garbage.
Hey, thank you so much for that inspiration. All the moms who definitely can connect and relate to that. Even some dads.
Yes.
In the past, I've had some dad guilt as well. So, hey, you've been amazing. We could talk for hours and hours, sister, but we got to wrap it up. Some quick questions to pick your brain.
Okay.
And these can be quick, one sentence or one line, one word. Okay. So the first one is, what is one of your favorite success quotes that motivates you?
Okay. Well, it's actually a recent one. I think you might know it. And it's, I always find a way. Simon Chan. Do you know that guy?
What's one habit that's
hold on.
successful? I think that's a big honor for you to have it on your screen.
Literally, I had my husband design a flyer with 2 eagles, and he's my eagle. Eagles marry, and they mate for life. And the 2 eagles are the 2 of us, and that quote is my screensaver. It's my new favorite.
What's one habit that's helped you become successful?
Consistency. That book that you wrote speaks volumes to me, and I'm going to train it starting. I've already started with this month, but it's going to be, it's amazing. It's already amazing. So consistency.
What's the best piece of advice you ever received?
Oh, not to quit too soon in the middle of the mess, because when you continue on the other and you through the mess, what ends up coming out is a masterpiece.
I like that. What's your favorite prospecting tool? So say you have a qualified prospect. Do you send a video, a company video, a personal video, or do you get on Zoom? Do you meet them? Or do you give out samples? What do you like to use?
All of it. But I think that when it's online, I have some boards that is a choose your own adventure video that goes over kind of a high level of our products for just a couple of them. And then if they are interested in learning more, like, the business side, there's an option on there too. So I love that because it lets them decide and choose their own adventure. And it sounds fun. Hey, can I send you this choose your own adventure link? And they're like, yeah. So sounds exciting.
What's your favorite app on your phone that's not a social media app?
The Bible app, hands down.
What are 2 or 3 books that you could recommend? Aside from your book, what are 2 or 3 other books you could recommend?
Well, the Bible. I mean, quite literally. I know that sounds so very cliche, but it's true. It's the book I read every single day, every day since I was 23. And I had a new refreshing of the Lord and accepting him in my life. It has gotten me through everything. And then I would also say your book, The Consistency Pill, is amazing. And How to Win Friend and Influence People by oh my gosh, Carnegie. His last name is Carnegie.
Dale Carnegie.
Thank you. I was almost about to call him Daniel. I'm like, it's not right though. It's Dale Carnegie. Yes, thank you. You got me. So that's also a really powerful book to get started in network marketing and just any business, really. It helps you just be a better human being.
And here's the last question, the $1 million question. You ready?
Okay.
So imagine you had to start all over again and you knew no one. So you didn't know your husband, didn't know your kids, but you had all your current knowledge, skills, and wisdom. What's the first thing you do or the first place you go to build a network marketing business from scratch?
I guess I would have to go to a network marketing company, right? And find one that works. Probably I would go and start networking at networking groups, honestly. And that and going online and doing the things that I know built up my customer base and my following. So I would go on, I personally like Facebook. So I would use Facebook again. I would start friend requesting people and go find commonality. Always finding commonality with people is huge. I would go meet people in person and go to networking events to introduce myself, but more importantly, getting to know the people in front of me. People feel like they know you more when you ask them questions about themselves than when you share about yourself. So asking a lot of questions of those that you meet and getting to know them will create a quicker bond and a more genuine connection. So that's where I would start.
As we wrap up, any last words or advice? And then what's the best way listeners can connect with you, Alisha?
So I have a site, which is AlishaLindsey.com. That is my own personal website. I was encouraged to get it when I wrote this piece of the book for leading ladies. So I have that. It's very generic, but it has other contact information on there, my social media stuff. And then also the link to my book that will, I believe, be shared as well from this podcast. And a last thing to say, here's the thing. I worked in senior housing for many years, and I got to interview thousands of seniors all over the country and have been, and many of them moved here to the US from other countries. And one of my favorite questions to ask them was, what's the one thing in life that you regret now that you're older? And they said, I regret all the things that I didn't do because I was too scared. They said, and every one of them said this in some way, shape, or form, that I didn't do the things I was too scared to do. I rarely regretted the things I did do. And I always regret the things I didn't because I was too afraid. And they told me, don't ever be too afraid to go get your dreams and your goals and go after them, because you will fail 100% of the time at any of the goals you don't go after. And at least if you try, you have increased your percentages of succeeding in your goals and dreams exponentially by at least trying to go after them and working towards them and not giving up.
ML Nation, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And today, you've been hanging out with Alisha Lindsey. So keep up the momentum and head over to MLNation.com. Click on the podcast tab in the show notes with all the nuggets of wisdom that Alisha just shared, including the link to her website. Her social media profiles will be there. Her book, definitely go check it out. Definitely follow her on social media and connect with her, because she is an amazing individual, amazing leader. Hey, in order to be successful in life, in business, and in network marketing, you must help others. So, Alisha, thanks again for sharing your valuable time with ML Nation. We're grateful to you, and we appreciate you for having a positive impact on millions of distributors worldwide. Thank you so much again, and God bless you.
Thanks, Simon.
Hey, ML Nation, Simon Chan here. A great show from Alisha Lindsey. You know, as I was preparing for this recap, I was like, where do I start? There's so many great nuggets on here. But before I give you a little recap of what my thoughts are, first of all, make sure you head over to MLNation.com, click on the podcast tab, and go and check out the show notes page. Follow Alisha, and also leave us a review on your favorite podcast player, whether it's iTunes or wherever you're listening to, and subscribe to us on the YouTube channel. Okay, show us some love. Took a lot of time preparing for this, getting Alisha on. And so, hey, these things are free. The least you can do, I really appreciate it if you subscribe and leave us a review, YouTube and also iTunes. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much about that. So, Alisha, I think this episode is about leading yourself, right? The first person you need to lead, the first leader is leading yourself. And in the beginning, she didn't have that. She wasn't the leader she was today. Didn't have the success. And you know what? Success comes from, you got to be before you become. She wanted the success, but she wasn't the person that could handle success. She wasn't the person getting outside her comfort zone. She was not coachable. She was doing it her way, right? Is when you let things go and be coachable, and falling in love in the process, right? That changing the old mindsets of how things are. Like mindset of failure. Failing is only when you give up forever, right? Making mistakes is not failing. It's making changes. You do something that doesn't work out, you make some changes, and then you go do that again. And taking quick action on it. So maybe you are fired up right now. Go take action on something, because that fired up, that momentum doesn't last. Before you know, you will start crashing down. So that is very important. It's okay to make mistakes. Apply knowledge. Knowledge is not power. Apply knowledge is power. And I just love the show. It's like, take the belief when your belief is high, and we'll repeat this again. Apply it ASAP. Right. And so right now, fully transparent, I just learned something from her on the show. About the Facebook stories. I'm going to go do that. Right. Before I go home, I get distracted, or I start thinking about something else. Another message comes up. I'm going to lose that focus. So take action. And sometimes it doesn't mean a massive action. It could just be sending out 3 messages. Maybe you're listening to, you're fired up right now. You got the angel going. The angel's, yeah, you can do this. Awesome. We're in an awesome profession. Go send out 3 follow-up message. Go outside that comfort zone before, the fear comes in, right? Number one regret by old people is not doing what they're scared to do, not doing the things. Don't become like that. And when she said that, I thought, okay, there's a couple of things that I need to do as well, right? I've definitely got a lot better over the years. When I was younger, I was worried about what people think. And then when I got older, I realized no one is thinking about me. You just got to do what you need to do. And apply ASAP. Commitment. Right? I've talked about commitment to worst moments. I didn't ask those questions, but I think she summed up everything in her lessons about consistency, how she stayed consistent, her routines, right? But how she leads herself, but getting 3 babysitters to watch 3 kids while going there. And you know what? That event after, she told me she didn't make any money on that event. Nothing, but trusting the process. And the reason she didn't make an event was she was not the person yet. She didn't become that leader. She had to lead herself. When she started becoming more coachable, when she started going out there, not afraid to make mistakes, just showing up every day regardless, that's when she started getting the results. So, and then, you know what? For her, it's constant prayer. Her faith is very important. God bless her. God bless Alisha. It's just having faith in that is the process. And eventually it will happen, right? And knowing that you got to make the sacrifice. Well, what are you fighting for? You're still listening to the show right now. We're almost an hour in. You're still listening. What are you fighting for? Don't worry about what people think. Go out and just do it. And if things not working out, go figure it out. Change, right? Changing means keep your morals, keep your values, but everything else got to change. Your habits got to change. The way you think, or people are scared of me, right? People are worried about me. That's got to change. We're in an awesome profession. Well, maybe this profession is not that good. It's the side. I'm not really doing it. They got to change. Be loud and proud of this amazing profession. I always talk about it. Being loud and proud is really important. So anyway, go back and listen to this very inspiring episode there. Talking about I go on Alicia's amazing leader. Thanks again to Alice Hinckley. Give her a shout out. She's an amazing businesswoman, amazing network, connecting me with Alisha. And ever since then, Alisha and I have been connecting all the time. And she is a great networker, huge energy. And I think that's one thing to learn. When you have huge energy, that attracts positivity, right? Tracks good people into you. So what things do you need to change? If anything, just have the energy that Alisha has, right? Have that faith, be focused, take action every single day, be consistent. She talked about consistency many, many times. Anyway, that's what I have for you. Make sure you subscribe, leave us a review on iTunes and also on YouTube, and follow Alisha as well. Go check out her website, go check out her book, and take action. You're fired up right now. Go right now. Right, once this is done, go send out 1 message. Take some action and go out there, have a positive impact on someone's life. God bless you all.